Well, many millennials are now buying homes and raising families and juggling a lot of financial responsibilities. Welcome to life. But a handful of common money mistakes can quietly cost them thousands of dollars over time. Here to help us to maybe avoid some of those pitfalls is money and business expert Derrick Kinney this afternoon. Hey, Derrick.
Hi, Jason. Great to see you.
Good to see you too. Let's dive right in here and talk about, usually we save this question for last and ask what the biggest mistake is, because I think there's always a lot of learning in the biggest mistake. But what is the biggest financial mistake that you see millennials making that sort of holds them back from building wealth? Let's tackle that first.
Well, many people will relate to this. It's waiting too long to start to save. They've got competing priorities. We've got kids in soccer. We've got kids going into high school, maybe some into college. All those costs sort of put retirement savings on the back burner. The problem is it creates a big problem. If you save early, your money works for you. If you wait to save, now you're working extra hard to make up for that time. So starting too late can really cost people that financial security that they really want.
All right, so Derrick, you've talked about how so-called lifestyle creep, where you spend more than as you make more, is one of those biggest reasons that people don't get ahead. How exactly does that happen, and what can people do to stop that from happening?
Well, Jason, you know I am a voice of reason and truth for our loyal viewers. And one thing that hurts millennials is peer pressure. You would think that peer pressure ended back in high school. Oh no, it got only bigger as we became adults. Well, they've got a car, we got to get the same car or better. They've got a house, we got to get a bigger house. Their kid goes to that school, we need to have our kid go to this school, and the comparison game is costly. What I tell millennials, and really everybody, is when you get a raise, don't let your expenses meet your raise too soon. Save it off the top, first of the month, get in control of your money, and then your money can work harder for you.
Yeah, you got to be really careful, because you will always find about 15 ways to spend that raise before it even appears on that first paycheck. You also say that too many people are walking away from free money. This one's really frustrating too, because they're not getting their full 401k match. Can you talk about, Derrick, why that is such an expensive mistake, especially for somebody who's younger and starting out in their career?
Well, first of all, for so many people, especially younger people, but also millennials, they don't understand how the 401k, or in a nonprofit world, a 403b works. Typically, you can put money in, you save it, it grows tax deferred for retirement. Love all that, but the company will give you free money if you put in some of your money. So you miss out if you don't put in it. Typically, it's a match up to 4%. Some people aggressively maybe match up to 6%. I like to say, don't step over the dollars to pick up the pennies. At least put in what the company matches, and ideally, you want to be as growth-oriented as possible. Think like the S&P 500, something growth. This is going to be money that's set aside for down the road, but you've got to put money in to be able to pull more money back out.
And Derrick, I know you've seen those charts that show that if you start at a really early age versus like 10 years later, and you're putting aside the same amount of money, by the time you get to retirement, the one who started earlier really has put away so much more. So
that's you and I too.
Yes.
We're early savers.
Yes. So at least, get that match at the very least. Now, if somebody who's watching today wants to be in a better, stronger financial position, let's say a year from now, Derrick, what is the very first step that you would tell them they should take right now?
Yeah, I like to set steps up. Easy step one, build your emergency fund. Ideally, you want to begin to build up about 6 to 12 months of committed living expenses, partly in a checking account, part in what's called a high yield savings account, earns more money. But the goal is when you have cash, now you're in control to make smarter decisions. When you have to be in a crisis and you've got to use the credit card, you tend to spend more because you're panicking. Build up the cash reserves, but it's going to give you a bigger lesson of, if I could save a small amount, I could possibly save a bigger amount. Now you're building momentum, which leads to more money.
And Derrick, in case anybody panicked there, it's key to say that you're saying 6 months of expenses, not 6 months of your income put aside, because they're going,
That's right.
I'm never going to get to all of that.
Never, yeah, committed living. So think about your house payment, car payment, food, committed living expenses. That way you've got some money in case of a rainy day. You've got a cushion built up. It takes time, but you can get there.
Some great advice. Where were you when I was 20, Derrick? I could have used all of this. Appreciate it, man.
You bet. My pleasure. Thank you, Jason.